Today, 215-592-9494. An awful lot to do. Look, let's start Phils, then we'll go Eagles. So Wheeler is unbelievable. He's unbelievable. And Schwarber did, Schwarber things, and the Phils got a nice one. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, you wake up this morning, not only to the band back together here in Philadelphia, and we are happy to be here. And, we'll detail parts of the trip to London as we move through the show. It was a good time. And we appreciate Rob and John holding it down on the days we weren't on, and we appreciate everyone listening for all the days you listened. So we'll get into that stuff. But a nice, bounce back, obviously, for the Phils, coming off not only a loss, but one of their more difficult losses of the year when you felt like you had it wrapped up on Sunday. And then also, just the reality of flying back from London for those guys, going straight to Boston. Like, they don't even get to come to Philly, right? So they go from London to Boston. That's kind of weird. But it really helps when you put a star pitcher on the mound. I mean, how many years have we talked about, really probably our whole lives as sports fans, that in baseball, it primarily comes down to pitching. And yet again, last night, it did. Now, look, that's not to discredit Schwarber and shortchange him, because he was the first person that performed. I mean, other than that Red Sox starter that threw a pitch, it was Schwarber that got it cranked up. So good job by him. But Wheeler's the dude. Wheeler's the dude. This guy's so unbelievable, man. So, look, we want your reaction last night at 215-592-9494. And by
Wheeler's
the way, you wake up, and you wake up 10 games. 10 games in front of the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
10!
The NL East, we are decimating this thing right now. It feels pretty good. We're where we need to be. Yeah. Just at the beginning of JT's journey back to health.
Yeah, you got that reality too, obviously.
You gotta worry about that. I am less worried about it because it's JT and because of the story that was told, that he was talking to Topper. Hey, I can get this done whenever you want. Yep. I can hold off if need be. And his manager said, listen, we're going to get it taken care of now just to be sure. This guy's so tough. This guy could be acting under the old school orders that I personally, when I had, 4 scopes like this done, the orders to us were, as soon as we get the swelling out, you're going to be practicing. You'll be able to run. It shouldn't be any delay. You might not miss any time. You're going to be good. That's how we treated it. And I don't expect with all the kneeling. Oh my gosh, you are putting a lot of stress on that thing.
Look, he's going to be out for a month.
We were doing a lot of 3-point stances, coming in and out of those. That's a lot of kneeling every play too.
You also didn't have $100 million. You didn't have $100 million contract.
Yeah, there were guys. There were guys who did have huge contracts who did get scoped and only miss a week.
And you also have more time. Like you can miss a month and miss like the same percentage of games if you missed a couple games in the NFL or 3 games in the NFL.
James, being up 10 games. It makes it really. I have no worries on the JT thing. Look, we'll get into that. Let's also get to the Eagles because, of course, everything on the Phils from last night, including the JT injury, that reality, 215-592-9494.
Well, at Schwoon. It's Schwoon. It's Schwarmer. Schwoon. It has begun. That's all you need to say other than Wheeler was awesome again. Schwoon really, really finally is upon us.
All right, so let's get
Schwarmer.
Schwarmer. I like that. I like that more. All right, let's get to this Hurts thing. So I got to tell you, we're in the airport yesterday as John and Rob and Ashlyn start the show. And I'm like, wow, what in the hell is going on back there? I mean, John, you and Rob were like, no big deal on this Jalen thing. I was ready to punch you through the frickin' app. I mean, all right, can we tackle this here for the first time as we convene as a show at 215-592-9494? Like, I could not, John, is your point yesterday?
No big deal on the Jalen thing.
Let me see if
Jalen and Nick is not as big a problem as you seem to think.
All right, let me see, John, if I have this right. Was your point yesterday that Jalen just told the truth? And that's like okay, like it was that because that in the first 2 segments, and that's what I heard the first 2 segments. What it sounded to me like you were saying is Jalen told the truth, and so like no big deal. And I'm like, hell of a big deal, because
I think the big deal is that he does not respect the head coach the way he should.
Okay, all right, I'm glad you think that.
I think we're all aware that that's a problem.
Okay, good.
And they considered this problem for 8 or 9 days.
Right.
And the answer that they came up with is not the answer I would have come up with.
So you're mad at Lurie and
now
Howie
they're
for keeping
dealing with the repercussions.
Okay.
Yes, I am
gotcha.
mad at the front office for the way that they have basically left Nick Sirianni high and dry, left Jalen Hurts high and dry in a situation that is untenable.
That's okay. So just to be clear, and I had indicated we only heard 2 seconds before the plane. That's interesting. Well, look, we'll see at 215-592-9494 if others are, because we really haven't sort of looked back on the decision from now about 4 or 5 months ago to keep Sirianni. Are others like John annoyed at Lurie and Howie for having kept Sirianni? And do you think that Howie and Lurie, put Jalen in a tough spot? By the way, Nick in a tough spot, if you will, as well. I mean, I thought Sirianni should have been canned, and I was clear about that. But I also think Hurts, get over it. I mean, you're about to start a freaking campaign with talent all over the place, and this is the energy you put out there in June? In like right before everyone disband for 6 weeks and then get it together, hopefully for 6 to 7 months. Like, get the hell over it, man.
I don't understand the get over what.
I thought it was disrespectful, John, to not only Sirianni, but I thought what Hurts said was disrespectful also to Lurie and Howie. Like, they chose to keep Sirianni. Whether Jalen Hurts likes it or not, whether John Ritchie likes it or not.
How did you think it was disrespectful? Was it the pause or there was a chuckle in there?
It's the pause, it's the chuckle, it's what he said, and it's what he didn't say. I mean, so here's the deal.
Well, look, the pause and the chuckle, that was problematic.
Yeah.
But again, this situation is crazy. This situation, you kept a guy around even though you knew you shouldn't. You kept a guy around.
Yeah, but
I think part of the reason that
See, I think that is debatable, John, because Sirianni been the head coach for 3 years and made 3 playoffs. He almost won a Super Bowl. Now, yes, he had tremendous talent in 2022, and there's an argument to be said that he didn't do enough with that talent, like namely he should have won a Super Bowl. That argument is a reasonable argument. But while I thought he should have been canned, and 71% of our respondents in a poll right after the season thought he should have been canned. I mean, it's not inconceivable to keep a coach who in 3 years made the playoffs 3 times. By the way, also when you give him better help with better coordinators.
I believe other coaches could do what he did with the same setup around him. I don't have that much faith.
You think Doug after the Super Bowl? Because you had lost faith in Doug.
I'd lost a lot of faith in Doug.
I mean, I think
that Doug could have done something similar. And Doug right now is tipping possibly down there in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
He's been 9-8 for a couple years. They're saying, why isn't Trevor Lawrence developing? Why did Trevor Lawrence take a step back last year?
That good.
But yes, I think Doug, I would have faith, could do more.
Look,
I do not have a lot of faith in our head coach right now, and I hope that he proves me wrong.
Does this set up, John, for the season worry you? Because I got to tell you, I am worried, but I view it, I guess, a little bit of a different prism than you. Like,
I am not worried in regard to. I love the fact that we're going to have a plan for this offense. We have incredible talent.
Yeah,
we're going to actually protect the right way so that Jalen has a chance to throw downfield to these amazing targets. We are going. I think we're going to tear it up.
Well, but I hear you, and I sure hope so.
But I don't think it's because of Nick Sirianni.
Well,
and that's why you've got this really strange dynamic that you have signed on for.
Well, they have
this year, and I'm confused by why you choose to do that.
Well, look, we'll see where everyone stands at 215-592-9494. I mean, it does concern me for the season. I think one of the things that has irritated me in recent weeks, and by the way, I'm in a good mood. I mean, the London trip was great. The Phillies are great. Eagles should be pretty good. But I do think there's this notion that the Eagles are just going to roll, rattle and hum. What was that, the U2 thing? What was that song? What was that? Was that an album?
Rattle and Hum. It was a live movie that they took. It was a record that they made into a video.
So the Eagles are just going to rattle and hum, even if the coach has nothing to do with defense, nothing to do with offense, and like the quarterback doesn't respect them.
Hey, hold on.
Like that, the head coach still matters. And Lurie and Howie chose to keep this guy.
He's supposed to be one of the 32 greatest coaches of football in the world. That's what I thought we were talking about here.
He actually might be. He might be.
We're talking
He's
about
the winningest coach in
Sirianni?
Eagles history for the first 3 seasons of. I mean,
Okay,
like,
let's stop doing the number
but
tricks, the parlor
it
tricks
matters.
with the situation.
It matters. It's a
roster.
resume.
And James, he
Let's
took
chalk
over a
that up.
garbage team.
Yes, it's called a resume, John.
Let's
and
chalk that up to Howie Roseman doing an incredible job in the front office.
That's a big part of it. That's a big part of it. I agree with you on that. All right, look, the whole thing on the table, 215-592-9494. John's point that 5 months later he's still annoyed they didn't get rid of Sirianni. Is that of your mindset? 215-592-9494. Did Lurie and Howie blow that and put Jalen in a really difficult position and really lessen the team's chances with what otherwise should be a heck of a roster and a heck of a year? Are you still cheesed about that? The Hurts thing from last week specifically. Are you of my mindset that Hurts was disrespectful to Sirianni, Lurie, and Howie, and that whole thing's jacked up, and that isn't good for the coming season? Or do you think this whole thing's much ado about nothing? Because, I do hear that argument from some people around town, too, saying, what are you guys focusing so much? I think it's a big deal. What Jalen said, I think is a big deal, but maybe you disagree. Let us know where you stand. 215-592-9494. The Phils, the Eagles, a lot to do. NBA draft as well, as that's coming up. Joe DeCamera and John Ritchie back together, all of us on 94 WIP.